Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Talley, Beth, Meredith, everybody at the gallery for making this awesome show possible. So I really would like you to ask questions, but I'm happy to talk a little bit about the paintings. You're seeing a group of 7 Christmas tree paintings. I want each painting to be very straightforward, to kind of, I don't want there to be anything tricky about it. I want it to be very simple. So that's my goal when I'm painting them. I've gotten to the point, I trained as a sculptor, but I sort of have moved gradually into painting and have been making paintings now since, gosh, 1998. And as you work as a painter, you do obviously get better and better. But when I feel like I do something that's too virtuoso, I try and repaint it so that it's just straightforward. I really don't want that to get in the way. I want them to feel really simple and very straightforward. They're Christmas tree paintings. That's a weird, slightly difficult subject to pick in that it, could very easily fall into complete sentimentality. I hope that I'm walking the tightrope of kind of touching on the idea of memory and all that kind of sentimental history that comes up with thinking about Christmas, but also kind of keeping that in check and at bay so that you look at them as these bizarre objects that we put, or many of us put in our homes like once a year. And so I've been thinking for quite a while actually, because Christina Rees just talked about them briefly on Glasstower, and she was like, I think Francesca Fuchs paints them 80% because she wants to do the painting part. And that's certainly a big part of it. I mean, there's something very interesting and fun about painting this rather abstract, bizarre, triangular shape. I do place each one almost identically within the canvas, so that I want you to do a little bit that they are the same, but they are all individual and different, so that at first glance they look like, oh, I'm just looking at a bunch of the same things, but then you have to spend some time to kind of see what makes which one do what. I paint in acrylic on canvas. I do hold the value contrast range very, very tight in my paintings. I spend a lot of time color mixing to arrive at these tight palettes. I mean, the main reason is so that there's a little bit of the sense of a screen, so that it imbues them with a tiny bit of, I don't know, objectivity or kind of looking at-ness rather than being in-ness. What else can I say, or what questions might you have about these? I wanted them to be, the scale to be kind of a more intimate size, so that there's nothing grandiose or big about the scale, but it's just as simple and sort of straightforward as it could present itself. And I hope that they speak to you individually that way. That would be my goal. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, didn't the Christmas tree originate in Germany?
Yes, and being half German and having grown up in Germany, obviously the Christmas tree is a big kind of deal in terms of, Christmas is a giant deal. But yes, I think it did originate in Germany. Yeah.
I get it. After hearing your remarks, I get it why these paintings are a hair opaque in texture. I'm sure for exactly the reasons you were talking about. But given that, how come you used acrylic?
I like to change things fast person. I don't have much patience. So as an oil painter, you do always have to do that waiting game of letting your oil paint dry. And I'm too impatient. I like getting out my hairdryer and drying it if necessary and just going over again. Yeah.
What was the inspiration for all the different versions? Were they childhood memories?
They're kind of, I hope that each one speaks a little bit of an archetypalness of tree. So for me, there are some are sort of specific memories of what trees might have been that I've grown up with. I do also want that a little bit that sense of time passing, in the sense that this is this yearly ritual. So also each Christmas that comes around is 1 year further on, right? So this accumulation. So it's not like this tree comes from 1978 and that one comes from 1996 or whatever, but I did want a little bit that feeling of different time periods as you're looking at them. They're partly my own. They're partly pulled from the many images that maybe you post on the web. But each photo base that I start with is one that has this kind of something iconically right about being an archetypal Christmas tree.
Could you address the idea of a screen a little bit more thoroughly? I'd like to know how you think about that.
Well, I mean, again, this might be my Germanness and the kind of, you know, I'm a fan of Bernd and Hilla Becher and Gerhard Richter, but that kind of looking at something objectively. And so it's a hard thing to do with something as sweet as a Christmas tree. And so somehow by keeping this palette so low, I mean, do you agree that there is a sense of a remove that happens?
Until you said it, I hadn't noticed it, but yes.
So maybe a screen is the wrong word, but by keeping the value range so low, there is this sense of it, it's almost fading away from you. So you can't engage with it completely in the now. There's going to be a little bit of a memory or a distancing device that comes in with it.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of translating from the photograph?
Yeah, in terms of my making, I source the images as photos. There might be some modification that happens in the photo itself on the computer, but basically the first thing I do is I make a little sketch from my photographic source that's about this big. And then the photographic source actually goes out of the window. There's often in the little sketch, there's a lot more information than is in these ones. It's really kind of reducing the amount of information from each step. So then the sketch helps me go, oh, there's a window in the background there. I don't need that, you know, but I'll keep this curtain here to kind of go, what do I want to keep and what do I not want to keep? And so then from the sketch, I go to the canvas. They do kind of need to work the first time that I put the paint down to have that not fussed over sketch-like quality. And so I need that my smaller sketch to help me do that. I'm not good enough a painter to be able to just do that without something to hold on to. Yeah, does that help and answer your question? Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, we did have one more question. John,
So
excuse me.
you're talking about not wanting to wait for the oil to dry to do the acrylics. Do you do these and do you have your sketch and walk up and actually do the painting in one time?
The bulk of it will happen in one sitting, like maybe the treeness of it goes in. I mean, it's not a one sitting thing. And then I mean, I hope you don't see that, but I'm a giant I make minute adjustment, you know, I futz with it until I get everything completely into the balance that I want it. So even, you know, the main thing might happen in like 2 or 3 sittings over 2 or 3 days, but then it stays in the studio with minute little adjustments to get everything to work just right.
So after you finish one day's work, are you thinking about it at night to know what you want to do the next day? The pieces, the balls?
No, I try as much as possible not to think about it, so that when I come back in the studio, I can see what's wrong with it, rather than already having thought over it too much. Yeah, yeah.
Almost all the paintings have this very soft touch to them. Is that part of the timelessness?
Yes, thank you. That's a great way of putting that.